excellence. When such a role model, like two-time world all-around champion Shannon Miller, competes on the same apparatus as America's Olympic hopefuls, well, everyone's efforts step up a tiny notch in the hopes that one day they too might become supreme in their sport. Today, over 500 youngsters from 19 teams have made an annual pilgrimage to the city that will host the 1996 Olympic Games. Atlanta, Georgia, the crossroads of the South, is the temporary home of many of the finest gymnasts in the country as they've returned for the Kodak Invitational. Athletes and spectators alike are in all building where today's events take place. The Gwinnett Civic and Cultural Center is a landmark of utility and design. Built in 1992, its convention center can accommodate the 4 Olympic events and a crowd of 1,300 for this celebration of sport. Hi everybody, I'm John Neighbor, and today's competition features 4 individual events, the all-around, and a team championship. Joining me is Maura Driscoll, and I have to ask you, Maura, what effect will this contest have on the elite gymnasts from the United States?
Well, I think it will be an excellent tune-up meet for many of the elite gymnasts who are preparing for some big international meets that are upcoming. It's a chance for them to try some new skills, take a few risks in order to upgrade their routines. But for the junior national stars, it gives them a chance to compete with some of the top gymnastic names from this country and some other countries as well.
Now, Shannon Miller has to be favored in the individual events, but she can't win the team title without some help from her teammates.
That's correct, but she is an integral part of that Dynamo Gymnastics Club. She's the most decorated gymnast in U.S. history. Shannon is an exceptional and precise athlete who knows how to hit when the whole world is watching. But you should watch for another Dynamo Gymnastics Club member. Her name is Mariana Webster. She was number 10 in the all-around at the U.S. Championships, and she's a senior national team member. Also from the Cincinnati Gymnastics Academy, watch for J.C. Phelps. J.C. was the youngest member on the U.S. World Championship team that brought home the silver medal from Dortmund, Germany. And her elder teammate, Amanda Borden, is actually a 2-time World Championship team member, but she'll only be performing an exhibition routine tonight. But with names like these, what an individual contest, but also a fierce battle between the Cincinnati Gymnastics Club and the Dynamo Gymnastics Club.
I should also mention that there are athletes representing the elite programs in Australia and Canada competing here tonight. The final session has been broken into 2 flights, an A and a B flight. The A flight has already turned in some pretty exciting performances. So now it's time for the B group to march into the arena. As you might expect, all eyes are upon Shannon Miller, the winner of 5 medals in Barcelona. Her team is up in just a moment. Stay with us as we return to more action here at the Kodak Invitational. Welcome back just outside of Atlanta, Georgia for the Kodak Invitational. John Neighbor. Maura Driscoll as the B group is now at the apparatus getting ready for their first rotation. This is Clare, a 15-year-old from Melbourne, getting ready to mount the beam. She represents the Kangaroo Squad, elite-level gymnast from down under.
Remember, John, on the balance beam, since this is a team competition, this event is absolutely crucial. They often say that the team that stays on the beam is the team that wins the meet.
The top 4 out of every 5 team scores will count. The teams have to designate which 5 athletes are representing them at this meet. And they'll all be competing together. They've each had a warm-up and a one-touch on the apparatus. Now Clare is chalking her feet, getting ready for the mount.
And again, as the rotation goes, they're allowed to drop the lowest score in case anyone has a major break or a fall. In this meet particularly, each team could submit their own competition order, which is a luxury that's not usually afforded in most competitions. This is one of Clare's strongest events. She finished 2nd on the balance beam at the '93 National Championships.
Acknowledging the judges, here it begins.
And a round-off layout mount, very difficult, but you must see that you have to pull up your body. She let her shoulder go, so she had a little bit of a break. The balance beam is 4 inches wide and 4 feet off the ground. And the gymnasts are going to be combining lots of jumps and turns. That's how they get their combination bonus. This is a requirement. It's called a flight series. Acrobatic elements, back handsprings, layout, step out, 3 elements in a row.
She bobbled a bit there on that easy transition.
is called a reverse planche. As you can see, it requires tremendous amount of back flexibility. One thing to note on this event with this competition is there's all sorts of events going on, every event at once, and it can be very distracting when you're on the balance beam and someone's floor exercise music blasts in. She seems to be moving kind of slowly, not as deliberate and as exact as she needs to be. Taking a pause before her dismount. A round-off double back, and she really didn't have a lot of rotation on that. She landed way low. A pretty good routine, but I know that she can do much better than that. The dismount really hurt her. That's a big deduction.
So Clare Cribbs, the 15-year-old from Melbourne, gets some last-minute reinforcement from her coaching on the sideline. Let's take a look again at some of that routine.
This is another look at her flight series, a back handspring into immediate layout, step out, step out. And a good landing, but then soon after that, she had a little bobble and a dance element. Sometimes that happens. You get the big thing out of the way, and then you forget to focus.
Oh, she doesn't seem too distraught over this.
Well, she stayed on, and a lot of times that's where the sigh of relief comes in.
Let's take a look at her dismount once more.
Now, this is a round-off double back, and you can see she doesn't get all the way around. She has to crunch down very low. She doesn't get her arms all the way up. She pulls her knees around, has to cowboy it, and way low. She ends in a deep knee squat.
Okay, now we go over to the floor exercise. And performing there is Soni Meduna, representing the Dynamo B squad. Her points will not count, will not help Shannon Miller in her team effort. But Coach Steve Nono is nonetheless interested in this performance.
A 2.5 twist, her first tumbling pass. That is a C move. In gymnastics, skills are valued on a scale from A to E, A being the most basic element and E being the most difficult element. I usually think of the E-ticket at Disneyland. That gets you on the fast ride, the high-flying, high-speed rides, and that's just the same thing in gymnastics.
The score for Clare Cribbs, by the way, a 9.05.
Soni Meduna would normally be part of the A-team for the Dynamo Gymnastics Club, but she just came back from the Pacific Alliance meet, so Steve Nuno told me he's resting her up a bit. That's called a Rudy, a 1.5 twist into an immediate layout. A lot of the gymnasts are doing front tumbling because in the code of points, it's worth a lot. That was an E move. Floor exercise is a routine where you can express your personality through your dance and through your gymnastics. And you need to take a breather before the last tumbling pass also. For Soni, it's a double full. Again, she has a watered-down routine. She's capable of much more big gymnastics, but this is just kind of an exercise for her.
And so that completes the Dynamo B squad's performance on the floor exercise.
This is her second tumbling pass. It's called a Rudy, and you'll see a lot of these tonight. A lot of the gymnasts are performing them. It's a front flip with 1.5 twists in a completely stretched position. She had some form breaks there, but again, it's an E move, which means that the gymnast gets 2/10 of bonus for doing that one skill. Just to remind you, routines don't automatically start out worth a 10.0. In this meet, they're going by what's called age group rules. They'll start out with a 9.6, and it's up to the gymnast to perform certain skills and elements to raise the value, optimally, of course, to a 10.0. And every event has special requirements, and routines are judged according to those special requirements.
Is it possible for an age grouper to get a 10.0 without doing the same routine that we get a 10.0 for a senior, for an elite?
If you manipulate the code of points well enough, that comes in coaching. This is another look at one of her tumbling passes. It's her double full, her last tumbling pass. A nice job. Again, it's a watered-down routine. She's just kind of going through the motions a little here. She was at U.S. Championships this year. She finished 14th all around, which qualified her for the World Team Trials, but Steve Nuno decided to keep his gymnasts out of that meet.